There's no excuse. There is no excuse. All credit goes to Black Bond for this video. He put up a new video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. All credit goes to him. He put up a video comparing, sales to all these Wii games. There's American sales on there and Japanese sales, and he's comparing them. There's also European sales, but it's between America and Japan. But he pretty much just further reinforced the points I was making. These Wii games have sold. They've sold well. But what Black Bond is pointing out is that they've sold more in the Americas than they have Japan. But the biggest piece of meat I want you guys to focus on is Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Didn't I tell you Tatsunoko versus Capcom sold well in my video? I think I did. But when you compare it to the Japanese sales, sold well in Americas is an understatement. Tatsunoko versus Capcom out here in America sold 265,000 copies compared to Japan's 30,000. 30,000. Do you guys get what's so ridiculous about this? Tatsunoko versus Capcom sold more in the West than it did in Japan. It sold more in the Americas than it did in Japan. Tatsunoko, a bunch of old school Japanese animes. Keyword, Japanese animes. A game with Japanese anime characters versus Capcom characters sold more out here than did in Japan by a huge margin. A huge margin. 230,000 more copies of Tatsunoko vs. Capcom sold out here. There's no excuse. There is no excuse. You guys cannot make any excuses. And now that I think about it, this is an important point I failed to bring up in my last video. There's a lot more Wii's sold out here than there is Japan. But there's like 40 million Wii's out here and like 6 million in Japan. Let me look this crap up. Let me pull it up right now. But isn't that funny, guys? Tatsunoko versus Capcom. That's the last game anybody expected to sell well out here, but it did. And nobody out here knows what Tatsunoko is. I mean, I did because, I'm an anime fan and all that, but Tatsunoko sold more in the Americas more than it did in its motherland. Come on, man. Let me check how many Wii's are sold in each region. Let me see. Okay, there's 42 million Wii's in America. In Japan, there's 11. There's almost 4 times more Wii's out here than there is in Japan. There's more cash out here, basically. Other random Wii games that sold more out here. Muramasa the Demon Blade. You would think that game would sell more copies in Japan because, it kind of looks like it has that anime look, to it. No, it sold 250,000 out here. Only 115,000 in Japan. No More Heroes sold more. Mad World sold more. I can see that. Those make sense. Sin and Punishment 2. 105,000 out here in the Americas, 60,000 in Japan. Fragile Dreams, 95,000 in Americas, 55 in Japan. Okami, 38,000 in the Americas, 35,000 in Japan. And I think even the Wii version of Okami sold more than the PS2 one, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think I remember that. Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles, 175K compared to Japan's 80K. But get this is even more ridiculous. You know how they announced, Xenoblade? I think they announced last story. You know how they announced them for a European release? America's sales have even been outdoing the European sales. Not only are these American sales beating the crap out of these European sales, the Japanese sales, but there's even outselling Europe. So Nintendo is bringing the games to the regions where Wii games are actually selling the least, when the games sell the most in America. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Is that not good enough for you? Is that logic not good enough for you? Wii games simply sell more out here in North America. they sell more than they do in Europe and Japan. Room Factory sold more out here in both regions, in all three regions. Muramasa sold more, all three regions. No More Heroes, more than all three regions. Mad World, more. No More Heroes 2, more. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, more. Dragon Ball Z, Budokai 3, I think that's whatever, BT3, whatever. Final Fantasy, more. Okami, more. Bleach, an anime, 22,000 America, 75,000 Japan. Fragile Dreams sold more in America than in both regions. Sin Punishment 2, Europe outsold it by only 10K. Only 10K, but it kicked the crap out of the Japanese sales. Zack and Wiki outsold both. There's no excuse. And guys, look at the games we're talking about. The Last Story, that is a game created by the creator of Final Fantasy. Do you not realize this? If people know this, people will buy this game if it gets released. It's from the creator of Final Fantasy. And he said when he made the game, he made it like it was his last. That's why it's called The Last Story. I'm a witness to that game's quality. That game is amazing. You saw the graphics. The graphics are amazing. The gameplay is amazing. I'm sure the story is amazing, but I can't tell what's going on since it's all in Japanese. That's why we need it localized. Because you guys know an RPG is really hard to enjoy when you don't know what the heck's going on, because usually stories and characters are the best part about an RPG. So, The Last Story. Then, Xenoblade. That's made by Monolith. That game would sell. It's made by Monolith. It's from the same people who made the Xenosaga series. Xenosaga got 3 games. So obviously, it got enough sales to warrant sequels. So I think if the first Xenosaga got sales, I definitely think Xenoblade would get sales. And you know, you guys know those free roaming RPGs, you know, they're more appealing than those, you know, turn-based RPGs. See what I'm saying? So I think they would sell more than, you know, Xenosaga. Xenoblade would sell. The Last Story would sell. Excuse me. Pandora's Tower, you know, I could see that not selling. But based off of this information, I mean, I could see it not selling as much as other games. But I do see it selling because people are asking for it. But based off this information right here, Pandora's Tower would sell more in the Americas than it would in the UK and Japan. I mean, for some of these games, you could combine the European sales and the, you know, Japanese sales, and they still wouldn't even amount to the American sales. There is no excuse. The Last Story, created by the Final Fantasy creator. Xenoblade. Monolith. Have you seen Xenoblade gameplay? That game is epic. The scale in that game is amazing. The scale is simply amazing. The Last Story has so much content. That game is beautiful. Pandora's Tower looks awesome. I really haven't seen much about that because I really haven't been looking around for gameplay footage and stuff like that. But that game was great as well. And it's gotten great reviews from Japanese reviewers. There is no excuse. Guys, Nintendo of America is being lazy. They're being lazy. There is no excuse. These games, Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Tatsunoko versus Capcom has sold more in the Americas than it has in Japan. Okay? it makes no sense. It makes no sense for these games. If you guys talking about, you know, I understand Nintendo, you know, from a business standpoint, it wouldn't be a great thing to do because it won't sell, you know. So, you know, gotta look at it from a business standpoint. It's smart from a business standpoint. No, it's not, because they would make more money if they localize them. And let's say I'm Reggie. I'm like, okay, I'll localize, but I still don't think they're going to sell that much, but I'll localize them to just get you guys happy, you know. You know what I would do? I wouldn't send out that many copies. You see what I'm saying? Don't send out millions and millions of copies. Send out just enough so you make yourself a nice little profit. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. You guys can't say these games won't be bought. You can't say that. If you guys talking about it wouldn't be a smart business move. If I'm a businessman and I see people petitioning for my product, or a product that I own the property to, or the product that is on one of my products, if I see people begging for that, I would give that to them to make money. Do you see what I'm saying? It makes no sense. If I see people out there want my product, I would sell it to them, especially when the sales in the first region I released it in weren't that great. The difference is ridiculous. Muramasa, 25K. In Japan, 115K. That's more than twice the amount. Ridiculous. Like I said, Mad World, No More Heroes, I can understand that. Selling more in Americas than it did in Japan, because those are more appealing to the Western gamers. But games like Sin and Punishment, Muramasa, Okami, Bleach, freaking Bleach, Fragile Dreams, Fire Emblem. Fragile Dreams and Fire Emblem are RPGs, Final Fantasy RPGs. You guys, everybody always thinks RPGs are only big Japan stuff, but I'm looking at this and they're selling more in the Americas. There is no excuse. No excuse. Nintendo's being lazy. That's final. That's it. There's nothing further to discuss. You lose. I am sorry. Guys, Nintendo's fucking up. Simple as that. It is simple as that. So I can't wait to get my freaking PC so I can get away from these consoles. I need a break. But there's no excuse, people. These games would sell. There is proof. There is proof. You guys always talking about prove it. Black Bond showed you your proof. Thank you, Black Bond. Like I said, all credit goes to Black Bond. I just, further, further explained all this and made new points on it, stuff like that. I just based this video off of Black Bonds, but all credit goes to him. Thank you. Thanks for helping me prove my point. Zack and Wiki in Japan, 30K. America's 190K. I'm sure you can find more. Because he threw that video together because I know he made that like right after he saw my video. I know that's why he made the video. So he just threw that together. So I'm sure you can find even more games that have sold more in America than in Japan. Like I said, there's a huger user base out here in America. It makes no sense. 4 times as many Wii users. 4 times. No excuse. That's it, this video. Stop crying. Stop defending. Get off of Nintendo's dick. I'll see you guys later.